Dinky is a podcast where two pals just won't shut the F up about being child-free and the dink lifestyle. I'm Erica, and I don't have kids because we just had 3 weeks of a heat wave, and that does not bode well for the planet.
Ugh, no. And I'm Kristen, and I don't have kids because spiders exist, and I don't like them, and I don't think it's right to live on the same planet with spiders that are scary looking.
Well, I'm just going to say, if you get rid of spiders, you're going to deal with a lot of other problems.
I just want the spiders to live happily outside, not in my house. I've had 2 horrific spiders in the past couple weeks.
What the fuck is going on with the spiders in your house?
Literally the most horrific thing I've ever experienced. I have lost sleep over it.
How big is one of the spiders that you said? You said one was like a softball.
Horrifying. And not even just skinny, fat. Looks kind of like a tarantula, dude.
Can you give me a visual with your hands?
It was literally this big. I'm not kidding. That
an orange.
Leg. I'm not kidding. It was almost, it was
Maybe
an orange. Yeah, like an apple. And its middle was fat. It was black. It was huge, dude. And I thought, okay, fluke. That was a one-off. We'll never see that again. He was just a freak spider. And then his little cousin came and made me deal with it because my husband was away. I had to deal with the little cousin. But now there's been 2 that are so similar looking that I'm convinced that there's a family living in my house. And I just have yet to find them. What if that was his child and his child? Anyway, this is all to say, no kids because of spiders.
Interesting. Wait, did you take a photo of the spider?
I considered it, and then I already have it burned into my brain so badly that I don't want to revisit that ever again. You gotta take a picture
so we can ID it.
I'm literally, the less I know, the better. It's one of those.
Wow. Well, can you send me a picture?
I'm terrified. If I ever see one again, I will take a picture for you, but I don't think you want to realize this thing exists even within 20 miles of your house. But
wow. Okay, well, wait, how did you guys get rid of him?
Oh, first of all, my husband doesn't like spiders either, so there was a lot of screaming in our house.
Great.
We were both petrified, and I ultimately made him do it because that's what happens.
Yeah.
So he got a cup, a big ass plastic Tupperware cup, and put it over him. I think he was a slow mover because he's so fat.
Yeah.
That it was easier to get him. And then I was home alone when the second one happened, and it happened in a really weird part of my window that was very hard. It wasn't easy just put a cup over it and put something under it. So I paced my house for 10 minutes, just taking deep breaths, being what do I do? Do I just pretend I didn't see him there? Do I just sleep knowing that he's around? I had this is a really long intro. Maybe we should keep going, but I got him out. The end, and then I was losing sleep over did I killed him because I put him outside, but I don't want to kill him. I feel bad. He didn't ask to be born either, True. He didn't ask to be ugly. He just came and he was born. And I felt so bad for him, but I felt bad for me too because I didn't want him sleeping near me. So
I get it, dog. I get it.
Anyway, here we are.
I just got a pop-up notification that I think is a great transition that says U.S. wins first gold medal at the 24 Olympics.
Wow!
So,
Simone Biles? Who?
No, it was an American someone's going to make fun of me, 4 by 100 meter freestyle relay. We beat Australia.
That sounds good. Sorry, Australia.
It can't be 4 by 100 meter. I'm sure you
4
say it
by
a different
100 meter. I don't even know. Is that a long jump? What are we even talking? Is it a long jump?
Okay, I'll click the article. Men's 4 by 100 meter relay tops podium.
Oh.
It's a bunch of dudes. They're screaming.
Relay. Mm-hmm.
Well, I just got to say, we can stop talking about this. But I have never felt so patriotic in my lifetime as I have the past few weeks. Kristen, since we recorded last, the world really does feel different. How are you feeling?
Wow, what a question, Erica. What a question. It's the most basic question you could ask on a podcast. And I feel like I've still compartmentalized. I'm still dead inside. But generally, like everybody else, have some optimism for the future. How do you feel?
I'm feeling fucking great, bro. I saw a video of Beyonce that they made for the Olympics. Did you see this video?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I saw it. Uh-huh.
It's her in her little USA leotard that they made for the Olympics to be like, yeah, Team USA. And she's like singing a little bit, or she's like doing it to the tune of one of her songs in Cowboy Carter. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wow, between this and Kamala, I am juiced up on America.
Yes. The Olympics, Kamala. I feel like there was one other thing that was happening. I mean, I think just like the rhetoric right now about childless cat women and like how full force everybody has come out of the woodworks to be like, hell yeah, childless cat women, we love us and we love them.
I know.
And also, I think there's been a lot of like anti-trad wife rhetoric in the news. And I feel like everything's just getting more liberal. Oh, and like the Pew Research Center coming out and saying that 2023, there's like the most people under 50 who have said that they're unlikely to have kids. Like,
yeah,
like everything's kind of in our favor right now.
I feel like after 2016, a lot of people were talking about how it felt like we were in the wrong timeline, which I definitely felt that way. And it has felt that way since, I would say, around 2016. And I've been seeing a lot of people on TikTok say that they feel like something happened where we shifted back into the normal timeline. And I hope that's true.
I mean, listen, I keep thinking about how Hillary won the popular vote and still didn't win. I'm just like keeping all my fingers and toes crossed that we get this right this time. I really, really hope.
Yeah. Can I go off for just like 1 second?
Oh, please. Please. I'm begging you to go off.
I just want to say to the people who are getting, it's not a lot of people. There's a small group of people who are like, don't be saying Kamala's like a great candidate because she's not. Don't be praising a cop. She's a prosecutor. Da da da. Respectfully, fuck off.
Here's the thing.
Here's my take. As an Arab American, I get it. Personally, I don't love cops either. I am all in with Free Palestine. But you know what? I don't feel like I have the privilege in this moment of saying, fuck you to the immigrants who will be displaced under Donald Trump. I don't feel okay about trans kids getting fucked up under another Donald Trump administration. I don't feel good with what's going to happen to people of color under another Donald Trump administration. Like, women's reproductive rights. You want to tell me that, like, there's going to be a nationwide abortion? Donald Trump said this weekend.
Wait, a nationwide abortion ban?
Ban. Sorry. I'm flustered.
I don't even want to speculate on what a nationwide abortion looks like, but keep going.
But Donald Trump, speaking to some of his creepy followers this weekend, said, like, oh, just vote for me. 4 more years, you'll never have to vote again. You guys, I don't care if you don't like Kamala. We gotta get enthused because we will not have another election, you guys.
Right.
So, yeah, don't tell me that something... Look, I'm spitting on myself. Don't tell me how I need to feel about Kamala. I'm going to be fucking hyped as fuck for Kamala because the alternative is so fucking bad.
Have you seen Project 2025?
We cannot fuck around, you guys. I know. Go listen to the episode. I'm going to be pumped as fuck for Kamala. You better believe.
Hell yeah.
And if that means you're going to take my leftist card away, you can have it, bitch.
Have it, bitch.
Veins run blue. I don't even know.
Yeah, you heard it here first.
You heard it here
veins
first.
Run blue. Okay, I do want to say on a more serious note, we are not going to become, this is not going to become a politics podcast. I just want to, let everyone know we're not going to be obsessed with politics forever. Erica's rolling her eyes. But in terms of child-free rights, women's rights, it is super important to be involved in this election cycle. So
literally, if you are proudly child-free, it is existential.
What she said.
Anyway.
Okay.
That feels good.
Yeah. Good.
Today, we're going to be taking a sharp left, talking about the other timeline. We're going to be discussing the new Netflix docuseries, The Man with 1,000 Kids, which primarily tells the story of Jonathan Mayheer, a Dutch sperm donor who was accused of fathering somewhere between 500 and 3,000 children via sperm donation and defrauding vulnerable families in the Netherlands and around the world. But first, we gotta dink ourselves.
Dink yourself! Yep. Dink yourself.
A dink is a dual income, no kid household, so naturally we're making bad choices with our disposable income. In this weekly segment, we chat through the frivolous and ridiculous purchases or hobbies that we couldn't afford if we had kids.
Dink Yourself is now sponsored, but not necessarily endorsed, by Child Free Wealth, a life and financial planning firm dedicated to helping child-free and permanently childless people live their best lives without kids. Find a link to the website in our episode show notes.
Kristen, how you been dinking yourself?
You just got really serious. Kristen, how have you been dinking yourself?
Kristen, tell me right now.
Listen, we've been talking about a nationwide abortion, and now I want to know how you dink yourself.
A nationwide abortion is going to be like, you remember with Moses, how God killed the firstborn? It's going to be that, but every woman is going to get pregnant.
No, wait. Moses made everyone kill their firstborn? What? Is this like Rumpelstiltskin? Gone
read
mad?
between the fucking lines. Do you need me to explain the story of Moses to you?
Sorry, no. So can you say again?
Okay. Do you remember in the biblical story, Old Testament, Moses is met by God, and God tells him he's going to bring plagues upon the earth. And one of the plagues was, do you remember, Kristen?
No, I'm not religious. What? The bubonic plague?
Aren't your parents religious? Are you fucking kidding me right now?
I literally do not know. I don't know Christian stuff. No idea. It's like politics to me. I don't want to know.
I am shaken to the core. Okay, so God brought all of these.
Wait, is this where the animals get on the boat?
No.
Noah's Ark?
Noah's Ark was before this.
Okay, Moses parts the waters. I know that.
Moses is later.
Okay.
So before the parting of the waters.
Okay. What plague?
There were several plagues. I can't believe you don't know this. There was a plague of
why would I know
locusts.
this?
There was a plague of, I believe, frogs. There was a whole bunch of different plagues. And the Pharaoh kept saying, no, I will not let your people go. And so the final
that's
plague,
where that song goes, let my people
go.
I know
Yes,
that.
exactly.
I don't know where that's from, but I know it.
I'm so shaken right now. This episode is off to the races.
Okay.
So the final plague was God said, I will kill the firstborn of all in Egypt. And that's when, like the whole Passover story. I guess you don't know this either.
Yeah.
But people had
I've
to
been
put
to
the
Passovers
blood.
before.
They had to put the blood of the lamb over their door.
Yes, I do remember this part.
And
yes.
then God would see that and say, okay, I will pass over these houses.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I know that.
Okay. So then Pharaoh's firstborn, the heir to his throne, was killed that night by God. And that's when he finally told Moses, okay, get your fucking people out of here because this God is no joke. So all of the Israelites moved their buns. They went over to the river. And that's when Pharaoh changed his mind. He was like, oh no, we can't lose all this free slave labor. You are riveted.
No, I know. I want you to keep going. I want this to be the Moses podcast.
So then they go, the waters part. Moses parts the water.
That's
God
when the waters
parts.
parts. Okay. All right.
Yes. And then he goes through and Pharaoh's army goes in and then the waters close up and kill a bunch of Pharaoh's army. And then for 40 years, the Israelites travel through the desert, lost looking for a new homeland.
Wow. I mean, they were like anti-capitalist back then, you know? They were like, don't exploit these poor people for your labor, you fucking rich bastards. Right. I'm going to put the ocean on you.
So getting back to my point, the nationwide abortion. God's going to get every woman pregnant, and then there's going to be a huge mass abortion.
We got to put lamb blood on our
bellies if you don't want the abortion.
Right.
But I want the abortion.
Okay. Yeah. Listen, it's complicated. All right. Is there access to health care? Am I going to go to jail? Is Trump in office? What's going on? You know, I don't know.
Truly, what's going on is the question of the day.
16 minutes into this fucking podcast.
And it's going great.
It's going great.
But Kristen, how have you been dinking yourself?
I literally don't know. I don't remember how we got on this track, but I'll tell you.
Are you drunk?
No.
I don't know why we're like this today.
It's 2:30 in the afternoon. I don't either. I had potato chips and a smoothie.
There it is. She's a wild woman.
Okay, so my husband has been away having fun with his buds. They've been traveling, and I had the house to myself for a week, and I have made it my mission to undink myself. I've once again been good. I have purposely made it my mission to not order any food, not go to any grocery stores, just stay home and be a good person and eat everything that's already in my fridge and in my pantry. So I've done a reverse dink myself by not leaving the house for a week straight. But let me tell you, it was awesome. I played video games most of my day, every day. I chilled, I did kind of go a little hog wild like a few weeks ago with money, which is probably why I'm reverse thinking myself and I forgot about it until just now. But I did spend a lot of money for a minute there on like things I don't need for my house, like a little table and a little lamp and like little plant things and shit I didn't need. So I think I'm in dink jail. I think that's what this is. This is a dink jail segment.
Okay, cool. I love that you said that you've been being a good person by not like ordering food. So are you suggesting that people are bad people if they make orders?
What am I saying? I am saying that I am a good person for sticking to my financial budgets in the context of everything that was and came before you.
You are unburdened by what was before. I fell
out of a coconut tree. Anyway, I don't want to answer that question. I don't know what I meant by it. I didn't mean anything. I'm sorry. How did you dink yourself?
I do want to give an update on the litter robot to say,
yes.
I don't know what the fuck happened, but our cat is team litter robot now. I don't know what drugs she smoked, but we went out of town for a week. We brought her old litter box back in because we were like scared she was going to shit all over the place if we just left her with the litter robot. Our neighbor who watches her was coming and cleaning the old litter box, and one day texted us and was like, oh, it looks like Eve peed in the litter robot. Should I do anything about it? And I was like, no, just leave it. But then we came home. We spent probably a day with the other litter robot still in, or the other litter box in her closet. And then we took it away and she has not looked back. I think she pooped on her mat one time. But other than that, it's been like a full week and she's team litter robot now. I think she likes it.
That's incredible.
It's like night and day. Like she's like, doesn't seem nervous about it. She's just like, whatever. I've resigned myself to the litter robot.
Wow.
I know.
So she doesn't like it, but she accepts it.
Honestly, I think she likes it now because it's always clean.
Okay.
I think that's probably why she used it when she still had her other box.
Right.
Because she was like, this place is clean.
Yeah. This house is clean. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I like it.
So is that your dink yourself?
I feel like I reserve the right to use Little Robot 2 weeks in a row because I am in dink jail.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I mean, I could name a couple other things that I've been doing, but for the most part, I'm going to stick with Little Robot.
Yeah. I love it. Look at us.
Look at us. 2 girls in dink jail.
2 girls in dink jail. And I'm like so proud of us. I'm like, we've done so good by being put into dink jail electively,
Yeah, true. True. Anyway.
What was that?
My brain started going down a different path, but I was like, we're 21 minutes in. Just
we gotta go.
Teeth and power down.
All right. Hey, Dinky Pod listeners. Today's episode is sponsored by Child Free Wealth because life's about more than just strollers and college funds.
Are you tired of financial advice geared towards the traditional family model? I know I am. Well, Child Free Wealth understands that your journey is unique. Picture this, a financial plan that supports the life that you want, tailored specifically for you by people who genuinely get it, along with a one-on-one advisor that's with you every step of the way.
Ready to kickstart your journey to financial freedom? Head on over to childfreewealth.com to schedule a free call.
All right, let's talk about this fucking docuseries, Kristen.
Okay.
All right, to kick things off, I really think In Touch Weekly said it best when they wrote, Mother said they loved his long, curly blonde hair, bright blue eyes, and good teeth. Some like that he can play the guitar and has a lust for travel. Others felt a connection when they met the charismatic, intelligent, and easy to talk to former teacher. All of them were grateful to Jonathan Jacob Mayhew. I think that's how you say his name. But they were grateful that he was willing to help them realize their dreams of becoming a parent. Then they learned the truth about the serial sperm donor. Over 17 years, the Dutch musician and YouTube content creator in his 40s has fathered a shocking number of children around the world. I just want to say at the top of the show, because I was describing this docuseries to someone the other day, and they almost immediately out the gate was like, wait, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with him having that many children? And I was like, oh, good to know that that's top of mind for people, because when I heard that someone gave birth to 1,000 children, I was like, uh-oh, I don't even need any reasons to say that's bad.
Yeah.
But truly, the reason it's an issue is the risk of inbreeding and incest. So we'll just get that out of the way at the top.
Yeah.
Before we get too into it, like going into the documentary, did you have any feelings, watching the documentary? Like, what was the trajectory of your watch party?
Well, there are so many documentaries now about like doctors who claim that they were using a sperm donor or helping a mother who was going through IVF with like being fertilized by her husband's sperm, but he secretly was like jacking off into a cup and like using his sperm. Like, I feel like there's a lot of documentaries about like doctors being sketchy and using their own sperm. So I was not super aware of like this storyline.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of new for me that this was even like an issue or this kind of thing could happen. So it was really interesting to learn kind of more about the limitations on regulation, especially across different countries. I was also glad it was not fucking America for once, Finally,
truly.
Somebody fucking up in another country. That felt good.
And a Dutch person? Like, wow.
Yeah.
Truly a shock.
Truly. So that felt good. But I just want to elaborate a little bit on the inbreeding and incest thing, because I think I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know really where this documentary was going initially, other than I was there to learn. And it took me a minute to like really process the fact that it's not just about these people who might have a lot of siblings. And I can't even imagine like the emotional toll of like knowing you have a bunch of half siblings out there who you're related to, who like I would imagine you would want to know because you're related to them, but you can't for many reasons. And then also when their kids have kids and your kids have kids, the chances of your offspring potentially, especially in these small villages, right? Because this was like in the Netherlands.
I think it was the Netherlands.
Netherlands?
Someone is going to get so mad at us.
I know. For some reason, I always fuck up like Holland.
I know.
Danish, Dutch. Anyway, but like these are like small villages where people are having offspring that are related to each other. So it's like if you stay in that general area and there's nothing like very distinguishing about these people other than they're blonde and blue-eyed, which in that part of the world, there's a lot of people who look similar to that. So it's like, I can't even imagine the fear you would have that like, what if you fall in love with somebody who is literally your relation? Like what? That was really, for me, was the big thing that stuck out, was like the future impacts of future generations and how fucking selfish this was.
I think we will get into this again later, but the whole thing about the kids, they talk about this, I think, in the documentary, or maybe I read about this later, but they talk about this thing called like the similarity effect or something like that, where when people meet who have like similar DNA, there is like an attraction.
Yeah, they talk about that.
Sorts.
Like you have a connection.
And people can mistake it to feeling a sense of love to the person.
Yeah.
I think when we had Chelsea Devontes on the show, she talked about a couple that was dating for like 5 years before they found out that they were half siblings.
Oh.
Having a fully sexual relationship.
Yeah.
And then they both realized they were from donors and decided to do the DNA test and realized that they were siblings. And that is fucking scary, dude.
Fucked. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I do just want to talk for a second because, so I did post on our Instagram stories a question asking people if they had watched the documentary and kind of like what some of their impressions were. And I have some of those like trickled throughout, but a lot of people brought up the obsession that all of these donor families, like the recipient families, had on his blonde hair and blue eyes. Everyone was talking about his fucking blonde hair and blue eyes. Kristen, did you find him attractive?
I thought he was fairly attractive. I think, especially in comparison to like what else was out there, I mean, they really didn't show too many like other pictures, but they only showed like one other guy as a comparison for like
that guy was
the kind of people.
Scary.
He would literally look like an inmate who was going to murder you. So, and he was like totally bald and like had no hair. So I got the impression he had no hair anywhere. So going from that to like this guy who has long, curly blonde hair, blue eyes, like I can understand when there's probably a lack of particularly attractive men that you're choosing from, that guy would stand out.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I do think that, like, culturally, and I would imagine probably, like, in a place like the Netherlands, too, like, we just have such an obsession with blonde hair and blue eyes, like a ridiculous obsession with blonde hair and blue eyes. It's like, calm down.
Yeah, I do think that I don't know if you noticed this, too, but it felt like a lot of the mothers looked like that, too. A lot of the mothers looked like they were, like, blonde hair, blue-eyed, or light complexion, light hair. Maybe I'm misremembering. I had the feeling that, like, they wanted somebody who kind of, like, looked similar to them. If they were to have kids, they wanted their kid to look similar to them, which I'm not saying that's right or wrong. There's probably some weird moral, ethical issues with that and some kind of racist undertones throughout this entire thing.
Well, yeah.
But that I noticed too, is that it's kind of everyone had a similar complexion. And
yeah, I mean, I think I can see why he is like stereotypically attractive. But for me, like seeing him talk, his way of speaking was so off-putting that it was just really shocking that these people were meeting in person and felt safe with this guy, because I found him to be so, like, off-putting. Was that not the case for you?
No, but I have a horribly broken radar, which is why I dated for so long and never found a husband.
Great.
For a long, long time. Yeah, I'm curious what you mean. Like, what about it was off-putting? Like, what was it? What he was saying? It was literally how he was talking. Like what?
It's a little bit the way he was talking, but it's something just about his like energy, like his just general. I can't put my finger on it. Something about his general being was just unsettling to me. Maybe he speaks a little robotic. Like he just didn't seem personable or charismatic.
Interesting. Okay. I got the impression he was kind of like theater majory. Like that's the vibe I was getting from him. So,
interesting.
I mean, he was obvious. I mean, I don't know. There's probably a fine line between like being outgoing and being like a narcissist. Because I mean, for those who didn't watch, he is like the star of his own YouTube channel, and he obsessively posts like everything. But it's like about quote unquote interesting topics. Like it's not like he was just talking to YouTube about like nothing. Like usually they were like themed like discussions or like about different places or nature or whatever. So I don't know. I thought that it was like at least he was putting himself out there and had like interesting things to quote unquote interesting things to say, at least early on.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about that too, because I know that in preparing for this, you said you looked at his YouTube, right?
Oh my God, I'm gonna save that for later. But yeah.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay, great. So we'll talk about this later, but I did just want to say we had one listener write in and ask, why would anyone purchase sperm from anywhere other than an accredited sperm bank? Which is a great question. I think they touch on this in the actual episode, but I couldn't remember. And so I did some Googling, and a lot of what I found was like the primary reason is to have more information about your donor, which is super funny. Because a lot of sperm banks, especially they touched on this, I know, in the documentary, they were saying that, like, they don't reveal the donor's information a lot of times until the child turns 18.
Right.
For privacy reasons. But, like, it's just so funny to think, like, people felt like it was safer to go through a private route because they could know more about this person. But in reality, it's like, you're going to put your trust in some guy and trust that this fucking weird guy you found on the internet is like being honest?
I have a couple of responses. One is that's like online dating.
Well, yeah, I guess that's true.
You're just like, you're crossing your fingers. Here's this guy who shows you this side of himself and you're hoping for the best. And two, I mean, it's similar to, I think, the concept of why open adoption is so much more prominent now than closed adoptions. There's very few closed adoptions, at least in the US, because there's so many studies. And I don't have anything pulled up right now, but from previous episodes, I recall that there was a lot of studies that show that it's much better to have the father or the other, the family, the parents are involved in the child's life as they're growing up. So I'm pretty sure there's probably some thought around like having this person be present in their lives, the new child's life from the donor father. God, this is hard. And he was very outwardly, he was like telling all the prospective parents, like, I want to be involved in their lives. I'll come to their birthday parties. Like, I want to he's like, it's your child. Like, it's not my child, but I like want to be around in case the kid has questions about like where they've come from. And I think that's very healthy and very good for both the child and the prospective parents. But
yeah,
anyway,
it's a big if he's being honest.
Right. Oh yeah. This is all speculation. But I do wonder if him having a YouTube channel and being so public with himself gave a false sense of security, and that like this person is not like going to peace out because he's everywhere on the internet. Like you can easily find him,
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. And I do feel like it probably gave people a sense of like, I know this person because I've watched all these videos of him.
Yeah.
But again, I just can't get past by like how creepy he seemed to me. But yeah, I guess maybe that wasn't the impression that everyone got. And maybe I'm influenced because I knew that he was a massive sperm donor. So
right. I mean, I will say, I remember one of the fathers of one of the donor children commented that he was a quirky, weird guy. This donor was like, something was weird about him, and he was maybe a little quirky, but he was like, but you know what, you kind of have to, his rationale was, you kind of have to be a little weird to be able to like participate in this type of thing.
But is that true? Because I don't think that's the perception that anyone has about egg donors.
Yeah, I don't know.
Isn't that weird?
Oh man, I didn't do any research on this, but like I would just assume that a lot of people do egg donors and sperm donation mostly for monetary gain because you get paid a good amount of money.
Yeah,
at least in
I do
the
think
States.
that's a little bit, I guess probably the difference is that you get paid a good amount of money, I think, for egg donation, but they were saying in the documentary that sperm donation is not like a very lucrative
No, you're right.
endeavor.
Sperm donation is not, especially not, it sounded like in European countries. I don't know what it is here.
Yeah. Well, under Dutch guidelines, sperm donors can father no more than 25 children with a maximum of 12 mothers, the Associated Press reported last year. Donors can register with one sperm bank, but according to the docuseries, Jonathan, who refused to cooperate with Netflix filmmakers, worked with at least 11 different sperm banks, which was a breach of guidelines in the Netherlands stipulating that sperm donors should not father more than 25 children. Which fucking 25 kids feels like too much, bro.
I know.
It says that other countries have their own rules. The UK cap is 10 families, which I think this is interesting. Theirs is 10 families, but you can have unlimited children within those 10 families.
Right. Like you could give one family 20 kids if you wanted.
Yeah. And in Germany, the limit is 15 children. But there is little overarching international regulation, which is just wild, isn't it?
It's weird to me because, I mean, it could just be our American bias, but we see so many people that are fucked up in the United States taking advantage of systems and fucking over regulations. And you don't really hear about that in Europe. And I don't know if that's just because our news doesn't report it as much. But you kind of think, oh, they're like better people over there. They just like obey the rules. So like they don't need as much like oversight and regulation across country lines there. We have different state laws and different nationwide laws. So like we kind of, as in the States, have similar like I know, just like it's I'm trying to compare like the differences between like how we regulate things and how Europe regulates things, and like I'm just not super familiar with how they regulate shit over there. Like, is that a common practice across country lines for any reason? Like, I don't know. Is it?
Yeah,
Do you
don't
know?
And I mean, I did think it was really interesting in the documentary that they said that like a lot of these sperm banks that he was going to, like you just had to like sign a little thing being like, I promise I'm not being a naughty baby. And it's like, wow, you guys don't have any way to verify if that's true?
Right.
Feels like a big mistake.
It is.
It's really interesting because Jonathan, I mean, we'll get back into like the meat of the documentary, but it's interesting because Jonathan has tried to clean up after himself since the docuseries has been released, saying, people think I had this plan from the start, but I thought I'd maybe help one or two people. Instead, he says he found himself filtering through masses of responses, saying, I know people think I'm crazy and that I help too much, but in my opinion, I was super selective. People really don't understand the shortage of donors. Would you like to react to that? You're rubbing your chin like you have something to say.
No, I have a lot to say about the YouTube videos because I saw a lot of his reactions post-documentary about the documentary, so I don't want to dive too deep into that section yet.
Do you want to give it away now?
No, I kind of want to wait till the end.
Okay. Well, Jonathan is actually not wrong about that because according to a 2021 article by the New York Times titled "The Sperm Kings Have a Problem, Too Much Demand," there have always been infertile straight couples in need of a donor sperm, but with the legalization of gay marriage and the rise of elective single motherhood, the market has expanded over the last decade. About 20% of sperm bank clients are heterosexual couples, 60% are gay women, and 20% are single moms by choice, the bank said. I know we mentioned this before, but we talked about the ethics of sperm donors before in our episode with Chelsea Devantez. But I did want to bring up this stat that I read in prepping for this episode that says nearly 171,000 American women use sperm from a bank to get pregnant in 1995. By 2016, that number had risen to more than 440,000. And Rosanna Hertz, the author of Single by Chance, Mothers by Choice, estimated that approximately 2.7 million American women are single mothers by choice. Does that stat strike you?
Yes, it does. But again, I think this isn't super surprising given the narrative in our society about how you're not fulfilled as a woman until you have a kid. And you grow up thinking I can't be a childless cat lady. I need a kid to make my life meaningful. I think this is I don't think these women, a majority of this women realize how much of their decision making is not driven by actual practicalities and whether they feel ready to raise a kid by themselves, and probably more driven by what society will think of them if they don't have kids.
Yeah, totally. No, I was super, super surprised by that, but that makes a lot of sense. So I wanted to ask you, it's interesting, after this documentary has come out, I know that you're going to talk about what he said on YouTube a little bit later, but he's claiming that he really thought he was helping people. Some of the women in the docuseries claim that he had an addiction, or, a lot of our listeners were writing in and saying that they think he's an egomaniac. What's your take on it? Do you think he's addicted to procreation? How do you explain his motive?
Yeah, I think you summarized it pretty well. I feel like the documentary tries to paint him he's this nefarious person who is doing this all for the wrong reasons, and he claims he's doing it for the right reasons. I definitely don't think it's all for good reasons. I definitely don't think this is, even now he's I feel like he's still stubborn about it. He hasn't done any reflecting of how this could hurt people or acknowledged this could hurt future generations or anything like that. So I don't know why he just doesn't reflect. If he was doing this for a good reason, then he was oops, shit, everyone made me see the light and now I repent and I am sorry about it. That's what a normal person I think would do. But I don't think all of the switches are there in his brain or something. So I originally thought it was egomaniac driven. And I still lean that way. I still lean that way of this guy didn't know what to do with his life. And so he dedicated it to populating the earth. Kind of like an Elon Musk vibe. What do you think?
No, I think, and we're going to talk about Elon Musk a little later, but I think that you're definitely right. I think, especially the way that the document highlights his YouTube channel and how it seemed like he was looking for some sense of grounding in his life, it was kind of a travel channel, but it was also crypto. And then he was teaching people to play guitar. It was so all over the place. It didn't have any kind of clear thread that it really did make me feel like this is a person who is deeply lost, doesn't know what they're doing. And just wants some kind of recognition or validation in their life. Maybe that's reading too much into it, but that's kind of the impression that I took away from it.
What else is interesting about him that they didn't mention, I don't think, until later, is that he comes from a pretty big family. Remember that?
Yes. Yeah.
He comes from like 8 siblings or something like that, which I found interesting that he was born into a family that had so many kids that he still thinks it's a good idea to like make 1 billion children. I don't know. That surprised me. I thought maybe his like he came from a background. Maybe I don't know. Maybe when you have that many siblings, like you don't get enough attention from your parents. Like that's generalizing, but maybe he felt like he didn't stand out in his own family system, and like this is kind of his way of like doing something to be memorable. I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely felt that way too. Yeah, so I wanted to list out a couple of things that like especially gave me the ick, and would love to hear from you if there were any like additional things. First, I just couldn't believe how many of these women he convinced to do natural insemination, aka like actually fucking IRL.
They boned. Yeah.
I was shocked.
Are you? Are you? I mean,
a little bit. Like this guy is saying, "Oh, I'm gonna like donate sperm." Like it feels like it should be kind of a clinical thing. And if he's showing up being like, "But hey, do you want to just fuck?" Like I would be kind of like, "Whoa." I mean, I can see how it gets there, but it does take me by surprise.
I'm not surprised. Okay, because here's the thing: if these, okay, I don't know all of the logistics of like who he was banging. I don't know if he was just having sex with like straight single women, or was he also having sex with like gay women who wouldn't normally have sex with a man? Like, I don't know, but the impression that I got from the documentary was that he was just boning women who were single and wanted to be moms, and they were straight. And so again, I think like if you're like a straight single woman and this guy is kind of hot, and you want to literally have his baby because you're attracted to him in some sense, like it makes sense. Like, and the impression I got from him was like he's kind of this sleazy guy that makes you feel special. Like he makes you feel like, oh, I don't do this much. I only have like I've only done this for 2 families, which is like the lie he told everybody. So I could see how he could convince a woman to be like, you're special. I'm attracted to you. Let's bone. Yeah. It could happen. The men that listen, I don't want to share too much here about myself, but I'll just say I have been a victim to men on the internet who make you feel special and then they peace out. So men are can be trash.
Garbage. Okay, the other thing that really fucked me up was that him and that guy who looked like an inmate fucking working together.
Allegedly.
And allegedly mixing their sperm for fun to see which sperm would win out. I don't know what's the scientific way to say this?
Yeah. Survival of the fittest.
Isn't that really fucking disgusting? These women were putting 2 men's jizz into their bodies, thinking that it was just one guy.
Not that I trust this man, kind of like any Trump, like a Trumpy, like you can't trust anything that Trump says. Not that I trust this man fully, but he was saying in like his post YouTube videos that he was like, that never happened. I have no idea. That's disgusting. Like, why would I do that? So, I mean, he denied the shit out of it.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
He also has been denying that. Well, the third thing I want to say is that Jonathan now denies donating in Kenya at all, which I do not believe him. But in that Facebook group that they talked about where all of these like super donors were, like conversing, one of the people said that, like, they basically were explaining that they have, like, racial motivation in donating in Kenya and places in Africa specifically, saying that they want to, quote, bleach Africa, which was just, I screamed in my house when that happened because I was just like, that's it. My brain can't do this anymore,
Yeah. No, I know. Straight to jail. Straight to
jail, dude. Like... Off with your head, for real.
Yeah, that's so fucked. Yeah.
So fucked. He apparently is claiming he was not the Lion of Mombasa in that group, that he feels like all of the racial stuff is like, he denounced it. But like, again, I don't buy a fucking thing this man says now.
Right. We can't take...
You've lost...
We don't know the truth.
All credibility.
I mean, he's already lied a ton,
Yes!
He literally caught in lies. He has been lied a ton. So can't trust him.
So like I said at the top, I asked listeners what they thought of this docuseries and what surprised them. And we got a couple responses that I really liked. So Hunk and Courtney wrote that what surprised her most was why women want to be pregnant to have kids. Being a parent is not about giving birth. And she said, adopt with an exclamation mark, which truly, I will never be able to wrap my mind around that.
Yeah, especially because like with God, it's so hard because I'm not thinking about all the use cases and I don't want to offend everybody in the world by putting this on the internet forever. But I just feel like, especially if you don't even know the donor, like what's the difference?
Yeah. Truly.
Just adopt. Like it's like, like maybe there's it gets sticky because it's like, okay, well, what do you say about like gay couples, who can't have kids? Like
a lot of these couples were like lesbian couples, and it's like at the end of the day, the child is only going to have one of your DNA. Like, why not just have a baby that doesn't have any of your DNA?
Right. I know. I mean, trust me, I'm ethically way more aligned with adoption than this, but the whole thing is gray.
Yeah. T. Low 1029 wrote, the unbridled ego of men to do whatever they want without considering the consequences, while they use the excuse of being helpful to justify bad behavior to get what they want. Which, to follow up with that, Jessica Lynn also wrote something that I found to be similar, where she said, a man can father so many kids, but we choose to regulate women.
Oh, amen.
Amen.
Jessica Lynn. Can we just like talk about that Kamala quote that's going around the internet right now that I love so much, where I'm going to paraphrase, but she says something like, Senator, can you name, or Congressman or whoever she's talking to, can you name a single law that regulates like a man's body?
Yeah.
And the guy like just stutters and stumbles and can't get out anything. And
yeah, I think that was Brett Kavanaugh, Supreme Court Justice.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I wasn't sure who it was, but she just like repeated the question because he couldn't fucking get it.
Yeah.
And then he was like, oh, nothing's coming to mind.
I know.
And she's like, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Prove my point, you fucking idiot. How are you going to be on the Supreme Court?
Fucking asshole.
Can't even answer this one fucking easy question. And he was like, oh, I can think of some, like medical procedures. And she's like, that's not the question.
Yeah, she was like, let me restate the question. Let me repeat it.
He looked like such a fucking moron in that interview. Oh, my God. In that hearing, I guess, is the proper word. But anyway, several listeners, including one, Ash Levi, wrote that she was frustrated that Jonathan's suggestion was that all of the kids could have some kind of badge on their social media. I was like, oh, no.
I kind of wish I was a fly on the wall for that hearing, because when he says that, like, going back to his motivations for doing this, and like what was his true intentions, if he thinks literally people should put on their public identifying profiles that they are the child of a certain gene
donor
pool, that is so fucked up and so ego driven.
Where the fuck does somebody even come up with this idea?
I know. I know. It's out of control.
And then the last one that I have, another listener said, these guys need help and for their balls to be chopped off. Cosign. Jonathan's story is unfortunately not uncommon. If you search super sperm donors, which unfortunately I did, you'll be met with a slew of articles about various men who have conceived dozens or even sometimes hundreds of kids this way. I was really scarred by one article I read that started with, quote, every night Robert ices his testicles. He takes 2 cold packs from the freezer and inserts them into pouches in his specially designed snowball boxer shorts, which he sells for $59 per pair. Robert swears by them. He says, I do about 2 hours of that a night. Icing increases your fertility over time. You had your jaw wide open and then you leaned back and looked angry. What are you feeling right now?
First of all, I just can't imagine that people are icing their testicles for 2 hours every night on purpose and then recommending it to people.
How did you find out that this increases your fertility? Like, what?
I know. What? And then the other thing that I started thinking about was like so at some point in the documentary, they talk about how he would go do home donations by being in the home so you can ensure that like
It's fresh.
you're getting the sperm quickly to the egg. So they would sometimes invite Jonathan over and he'd go masturbate like in a bathroom, which A, so disgusting to me on many levels, but B, they were saying like it took him like 30 minutes, and I'm like, because this man has to jack off probably like hundreds and hundreds of times.
I know.
Regularly. And then there's people like this who are like, oh, like, here's the trick, man. Here's the trick for increasing your sperm count. You got to put ice on your mouth. I'm just like, this is like a whole underground system I wish I didn't know anything about.
I know. I know that this is disgusting, but I kept wondering, like, I wonder, because this guy was jerking off so much, like, what was his source of entertainment? You know, like, what's his kink?
Well, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that it takes 30 minutes now because he's out of ideas. He like can't do it. You know, he's like, I've done this so many times. I'm in pain. Like, I'm in physical pain.
They also talk about that one couple. I can't even remember who it was, but there was one couple who they were in one of those like time crunch situations, and he went and masturbated in a public restroom. Yeah, while she was waiting outside. It seemed like she had reservations about it, but she still was like, well, let me go get my turkey baster and insert this. Like, I can't afford to think twice. But I was just like, no, I feel like if I had to sit there for 30 minutes or whatever, like waiting with that realization that he's in a public bathroom jerking off, I would be like, I can't put this in me.
I know. Well, the impression I got from that scene was like she was thinking that maybe he was meeting many people during that day, and he was just telling them all to like meet him at the mall.
Yeah.
I think he was probably going from like one masturbation session to another masturbation session, like within like 30 minutes of each other or whatever. And listen, we don't need to get descriptive about what happens in public bathrooms, but especially in a man's bathroom, like the things that are going down literally right next to you while you're doing that, I want to die.
I hate it. Anyway.
Okay. What's next?
At the end of the documentary, a group of families involved in this scandal, they all like met in real life and their kids were playing together. I just want to know, like, how did you deal with that scene?
Okay. First of all, I think it is really important that there are so many kids that are related to each other, that I think it's great that they're fostering this early sense of connection to these people. I think that's in general a good thing, right? What I hated about that whole scene, though, was that they were like, the good that came out of this is like out of a bad scenario. The good that came out of this is this connection that we all have with each other. And I'm like, no. For some reason, I hated that.
Yes.
Like, we're looking at something that is so horrible and we're trying to put this like positive fucking marketing spin on it.
Let's just
which,
not.
To me, like further validates this fucking psychopath's reason for doing this in the first place.
Yes.
He's like, look, it ended up being for the best because now they have this big family. This is what I wanted. This was my point. And so I feel like you just like proved hit like whatever his fucking narcissistic journey was. Right?
Yes. 100%. I feel like we try to wrap things up in a nice fucking bow, and it's like, guys, maybe we just don't need to do that.
Yeah, maybe we just end this on, this was fucked up. We're doing the best we can, given the show that we were gifted, but it's not a good thing that it happened.
Yeah, truly. It made me so mad. I was like, this should never be.
I'm glad you felt that way, because I like felt mixed about it, because I was like, should I feel this way?
No.
Should I be unhappy that they're happy?
No.
Ugh.
Well, I want to land this plane, and I know we're going to talk about your YouTube research, but I want to land this plane with the knowledge that he allegedly stopped donating sperm to new recipients of his own volition in 2019. He says he came to that decision in part because he wants to focus on having children of his own. This man is still planning on having his own family. And
what's so fucked up is that there's women out there who are like, hell yeah, like, I want this man's sperm. Yeah.
I hate
it's
being
sick.
alive.
I know.
All right, let me turn it over to you. I'd love to hear what you found in YouTube.
Well, let's also note that at the end of the documentary, in case you haven't seen it, at the end of the documentary, there's a judge who literally says you are not allowed to donate legally anymore. And if we do catch you donating, we are going to fucking, I think it was like $150,000 fine, like per thing. It was a huge fine. It was like tens of thousands of dollars at least.
I still feel like not
so that was
enough.
good.
Should be over 1 million.
It was a high enough number that I was like, damn, you would be fucked if you get caught. Like, nobody could afford that.
Yeah. One other thing that I do want to say, I forgot to put in this outline, but I just remembered because a lot of people wrote in about this, was how interesting it was that, like, you remember that part where they were saying, like, they were trying to get to the bottom of who this was, but it wasn't until a reporter in the U.S. reported on it that they could legally print his name because there was so many rules about, like, privacy in other countries. I was like, fuck America, but USA.
I know. I felt the exact same way, which is so embarrassing because, I mean, this goes back to my earlier muttering about like trying to figure out how we regulate things here versus there in Europe, because I don't know how it all works. But it was interesting to me that in general, in theory, the policies that they have in place in Europe are better for people because they protect people.
Yeah.
But
in this particular
case,
circumstance,
to expose this fucking psychopath, it was better to be in the US, which is rare. You never really hear that.
Totally. Fascinating.
It was fascinating. Okay. So my YouTube musings. So my husband and I watched this documentary together, and at the end, my husband was like, oh, let's go to his YouTube. So we went to his YouTube and he had a bunch of videos specifically talking about the Netflix documentary and why he didn't join. And so we watched, I would say, like 30 minutes worth of his content between what he was talking about for Netflix and then other just like miscellaneous content that he had posted about. And I wrote down a bunch of notes here. So I'm going to stumble through this because I haven't looked at this in 2 weeks, but oh, okay, this one's good. The first one. So he went on a tangent about how he thinks that the X in Netflix, in the brand, the letter X, relates to Satan. And that's why they changed Christmas to Xmas. And red and black, the branding of Netflix, is to bring you to a lower vibration, and he didn't want to be involved with a brand that he felt was satanic in nature, is basically the gist.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah. I wrote this down. They had no good intention. They lied. Oh, this is Netflix. They had no good intention. They lied to me and told me they hadn't started talking to anyone for the series yet, but they actually were talking to like the moms of the children. And he said, they lied to me. I'm like, bitch, you lied literally everyone. So what fucking double standard is this? Okay.
The other thing that I want to say, like, as you're reading through this, I'm just like thinking about, like, this man definitely has some kind of mental illness. I don't know what that is, but now it's in like maybe up to 3,000 different children.
Oh yeah. Up to 3,000. I heard 4,000. So yeah.
Well,
psychotic.
Who knows?
Either way, a lot. He claims that the moms that were involved in the documentary were getting paid for their appearance, and he rejected doing it because he doesn't want to be famous. He's not doing it for ego, yada yada.
He doesn't want to be famous, and yet he has a YouTube channel that has like 25,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
Okay.
I am speculating that part of the reason, and maybe this is based on what I remember in the documentary, but part of the reason he has the series is for all of his 4,000 children or whatever to get to know him as like a father. So it's like quote unquote for them and for like the families to like get to know him. But yeah, I who fucking knows, dude. He says he wants to protect the privacy of his offspring and the donor children, which is part of the reason why he didn't want to go into the documentary. And he said the hardest part of donating was the potential impact to his immediate family. And they don't talk about it much, though. So his like siblings and his parents, like I think they barely talk about it. And he recognizes that it affects them and like how they're perceived. And he says like they kind of acknowledge that this is his choice. It's his life. It's his decision. But it doesn't sound like the family is fucking stoked on it.
If you had a sibling who was doing this, how do you think you would navigate it?
Well, earlier when I was referring to like, I can't imagine the emotional toll of knowing I even had half siblings, hundreds, if not thousands of them out in the earth. And part of it for me is like, because I'm an only child now, I think I feel, and I have a tiny, tiny family. I feel like, in particular, I kind of wish I knew others in my family system that were like me and I could relate to, who I could like talk to about like similarities. I don't have that. So to imagine that, I could have hundreds of thousands and yet like I can't even talk to like any of them because it's weird. It's like one thing. And if I knew I had nieces or nephews, like by the dozens and thousands.
Or grandchildren. Thousands of grandchildren.
Yeah. I just like, it doesn't feel, I feel like I would have a hard time like being alive. Like I'd be like, I think I would go into an existential crisis of like, what is life? What is the meaning? I think I would just like have a total meltdown and just be like, I don't know. I cannot imagine. What about you?
I mean, I feel that way us just talking about it, and I'm not even related a little bit.
It's not even real. Yeah.
No. I'm sitting here trying to think like, what would I do if my sibling did this? And I can't wrap my mind around someone doing this.
I know.
It's psychotic.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. Okay, so he's obsessed with God and he loves trad wives. Okay, basically is the gist. I'm again paraphrasing here, people. Don't sue me. Men and women aren't divided. That is created by the media and it is not natural, is the kind of things that he was saying. So he's like, men and women we are partners. We're supposed to be partners and like the media divides us.
Oh, interesting.
And my favorite part of the YouTube series was me and my husband. We saw this like one AI generated photo of like a trad wife in a field with this guy, like with God lights coming out of their bodies. And it looked so weird. And so we were like, okay, like let's click on this one. And it was a 9-minute slideshow of AI generated photos of weird Aryan large families and Jesus and angels. And the title of this slideshow video is Beauty of Life. Share, in all caps, share this video so we will change our future. And it's just Aryan, like large Aryan trad wife families, like in fields with like Jesus and angels.
Wow, I love that. We should
so that doesn't give you a good idea of like what this kind of guy is up to. Like, that's what we're dealing with, people.
Again, mental illness. Someone who's looking for meaning in the Netflix fucking name.
Yeah, but the X in Netflix is Satan. And Christmas used to be Christmas, but now it's Xmas because of Satan, Erica.
I also just can't get over the fact that his name is Jonathan Jacob. John Jacob Jingleheimer Smith.
I didn't think about that, but yeah, I like that.
How obnoxious. Jonathan Jacob?
That is obnoxious. Yeah, it's bad.
Ew. Get a life.
Get a life. Jonathan Jacob.
Jingleheimer.
He's like, I'm getting lives and I'm giving lives to 4,000 children.
I guess I'm like confused now though, because I'm like, so a judge said you cannot do any more sperm donations, but then like we said, like if he wants to have his own kids, so he can have as many of his own biological children. And then
I think if he's like in a partnership, it's fine. But yeah.
But like what stops him from like maybe having sex with like one woman for 3 years, having a couple of kids with her, then going and having sex with like he still could have another like couple hundred children by just having relationships.
Totally. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. If that's what he wanted to do, yeah.
Let's dive into Shit People Say, our recurring segment where we discuss the dumb shit that people have the audacity to say out loud. It used to have a different intro, but I was too lazy to find it.
It was men, celebrities, or people on the internet.
Oh, okay.
Something like
Whatever.
that.
Yeah. Today's Shit People Say is brought to you by another man who's had way too many kids, Elon Musk, who claimed in a recent interview that the woke mind virus had figuratively killed his daughter, who came out as transgender as a teenager. Let's take a listen.
I was essentially tricked into signing documents for one of my older boys, Xavier. This was before I had really any understanding of what was going on, and we had COVID going on, and so there was a lot of confusion. They call it dead naming for a reason.
Yeah,
All right, so the reason it's called dead naming is because your son is dead. So my son Xavier is dead, killed by the woke mind virus. So I vowed to destroy the woke mind virus after that.
Well, he's a cunt. And like a bad, and like maybe, you know, he doesn't even deserve the word cunt, right? We can't even say that. Like, he's a ball sack. He's a fucking a hot ball sack. He's not like an ice pack that's extending fertility. He's like lava on his balls, lava balls.
He's a pile of multiple men's jizz produced in a public bathroom in a plastic canister.
Yeah, like a reused to-go canister from Thai food a couple weeks earlier.
I just can't believe, like, I'm loving this direction that we're going.
No, the dead naming thing is really fucked.
It's really fucked.
Because that's not what dead naming is. It's actually, dead naming is like really dangerous for transgender, right? I'm going to read the definition of it here. Dead naming is the act of referring to a transgender or non-binary person by a name that they used prior to transitioning, such as their birth name. Dead naming may be unintentional or a deliberate attempt to deny, mock, or invalidate a person's gender identity.
It just makes me so mad that this man, who is so horrible, not only has a platform, but is like, feels that it is his mission to have more and more children.
Yeah, we hate him. We all know that. But I do love his daughter. What's her name? Vivian?
Vivian, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I love her response to it, though, which I think you're going to get into.
Yeah, so Vivian has since hit back, according to Musk in an interview, of largely being absent from her life, despite holding joint custody, and of bullying her for being queer and exhibiting feminine traits, including allegedly urging her to lower her voice, her like vocal register as a young child. She also she took to Threads recently, which I just think is incredible that she chose Threads over Twitter to say a slew of things about her old man. I have a screenshot here of 2 threads that she said. First, it's interesting to see conservatives' reaction to this, where I'm being treated as both a helpless victim of some elite cabal of neo-Marxist trans activists, insert buzzwords here, / whatever, who has cruelly scooped up and taken away, yet simultaneously being seen as some vindictive master manipulator tricking Elon into signing documents that he had read. Because in order for their worldview to make any sense, both of these things have to be true at the same time, which is genius. And then she also said, obviously this doesn't make any sense whatsoever, so I'm being infantilized and villainized. And then she says, Vivlianized. Haha, no, okay. Because this anti-trans crusade was never about protecting the children. It was about trying to justify conservatives' own outdated and ugly prejudices by shielding it behind even the most fragile of barriers. Honestly, I'm entertained by the nonsense.
I love that. So well spoken. Yeah. But my favorite thing that she posted on her threads, which is pinned right now, which has almost 20,000 likes, is, I look pretty good for a dead bitch. And I'm obsessed with that. That's like the best response.
She's so fucking cool, dude.
I know. She's really cool.
I love her.
We're sorry about your father, but...
I know. Ugh, can you imagine how embarrassing it is if Elon Musk is your dad?
You know, and what's interesting too is like she reposted like Grimes saying like, I'm endlessly proud of Vivian, which is also drama in and of itself because obviously Grimes has had at least 2 kids with Musk. So I'm very curious where Elon and Grimes stand these days. But I feel like I really from the get-go have been praying that Grimes would see the light, that she had made a terrible mistake.
How do these women fall into this trap with these horrible people? It's so upsetting.
We've all been idiots for a man before, you know?
I know.
But we all come out of it and go, what the fuck was I thinking?
What the fuck was I thinking?
And then our blinders are ready to go. Is that the right word? What the fuck am I looking for? I don't know. You're just more keenly aware of like when you meet a man after that, like, don't fuck with me, you ball sack.
You jizz cup.
Yeah, you Indian food takeout cup.
You were saying something about, takeout cup? What are you talking about?
You know, when you get like curry in a plastic to-go cup or whatever, when you get like delivery. And that's the plastic to-go cup that we also used to catch the spider that was really large in my house. Okay. And I'm thinking that would be the same container that would be reused for the jizz in the bathroom.
Oh. Well, Well, thanks for listening, guys.
And girls and non-binary.
Yeah, everybody. Dinky is a podcast on the Spreaker Prime Network. Many thanks to Chloe Steinhoff-Smith for our podcast art. Would you like to give an update on merch?
Merch, if it's not live literally right now, it should be. And we're like so close. We have new designs from our lovely Chloe Steinhoff-Smith. And I cannot wait to share them. So yeah, go check out our, I don't know, wherever we post links and shit. Go check it out.
Show notes, Instagram, TikTok, link in bio.
Let us know. DM us if you have any confusion.
If you have any confusion, because once it's up, it's only going to be up for a month. And then, time's up, baby.
Time's up.
Thank you to Leah Herder for creating our show's theme and interview transition music. And Vince Shortino for audio mixing and editing. Thank you to Child Free Wealth for sponsoring this episode. Do you need a life and financial planning firm to get your ding finances in order?
Yeah,
Kristen
you do.
Does.
I do, really. They're helping me.
Yeah. She's asking a lot of questions. Trust me, she's going through some existential shit.
I literally am. And I've read most of the book now that is on pre-order, so check it out.
Yeah, if you want to go through an existential crisis too, visit childfreewealth.com to get started. Tell them we sent you and you're ready to fucking spiral. Is that a good plug?
Ready to spiral and get your life in order.
Want to connect with us on social media? You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads at DinkyPod. If you have a question or comment, email us at dinky@dinkypod.com.
And we're sorry. We're much better at responding to DMs on social than we are to our email. We have so many unread emails that we have not replied to, Erica.
I know.
So sorry to everybody who's emailed us.
It just feels like a much bigger commitment.
I know. I'm with you.
Yeah. But here's the thing. If you want to be on the show, like if you want us to answer a question, you should probably email us.
Yeah, agreed. If this is like an answering listener questions segment, like definitely send us an email and we mark it unread for the next episode.
Yeah. If you want me to just like send you a little heart, maybe be like, I love you, DM us.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a fan of the show, please remember to subscribe. If you haven't fucking subscribed, what was this all for?
Who are you? What are you doing?
What the fuck? Don't you dare take a nap until you've subscribed and left a review.
Don't go to the mall and masturbate in the bathroom stall.
I think that's a general rule of thumb. Do not.
Yes. Please, we're begging you, please.
We're begging you. Please do not give someone your sperm from a bathroom stall in the mall.
Also, great transition to, we're sold out for Switzerland. So we are having our first happy hour with our Swiss girls coming up this weekend. We're going to tell you all about it on the internet, I'm sure. But, stay tuned for whenever we have the next trip.
Yeah, I think we have some exciting stuff coming up.
We always do, baby. We always do.
All right, well, visit the show notes to shop merch, donate to the show, and find more information about this episode.
Oh my God. Thank you so much to the people who have been donating recently. We've been getting some big ones. Okay, Megan B. Thank you for the $20. Oh my God. Amazing. We got a big one. Alina L. She's the best. We love her. She's always given to the show. But somebody gave us like $25.
Whoa.
Yeah, somebody gave us a big one. Sarah B, we love you. Thank you for giving us money.
A lot of people with B last names. I don't know what it is.
Ooh, this one. Okay, this is the big one. Aletta. Oh my God. Aletta, what did she write? She wrote, thank you so much for all giving me great insights and a lot of laughs. I'm childless after IVF and multiple miscarriages, but your podcast has really helped me going from childless to slowly dabbling in being child-free. Keep up the great work. She gave us $25.
Wow.
We love you. Thank you, Aletta.
You're such a fucking baller.
You really are. Okay.
Anyway. What are you doing the rest of the day, Kristen?
I'm going to a barbecue. What about you?
Oh, I'm going to go get my Peloton on. I'm going to work on
nice.
some shit for Dinky. Hopefully take a nap.
Oh, wow.
Maybe take a little shower.
A lot ahead of you. Yeah.
We're going to get dinner tonight with someone.
Oh.
My husband's a little salty just the two of us.
Oh, that's nice. Why is he salty? Salty about what?
You know, he just feels like you're going to all these barbecues and things. We never get an invitation.
If it was my barbecue, you'd be there. I can't invite you guys to somebody else's barbecue.
I'm just
That's not how it
reporting the
works.
facts, bro. I'm reporting the facts.
That's fair. I thought about it, but I was like, that's probably weird, right? I can't just be like, hey, can my friends come to your barbecue?
No, of course. I know, especially for a
Right?
birthday. It's a little weird.
Yeah, it's his birthday.
And here's
you know.
the thing. Respectfully,
And here's the thing.
I don't want to leave the house.
You should see his house, though. It is a gorgeous house. I really.
I
we
saw
should
the
do.
Zillow.
That's true. You did see the Zillow. Okay.
And you know what? I also said, you know what? We haven't invited this couple anywhere. So why should we expect an invitation?
That's true. That's true.
You got to be the change that you wish to see.
Yeah, and it's usually a pretty intimate thing too. It'd be like it's not like a party, you know.
Right. Right.
You know.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
All right. Well, I love ya.
Love ya.
See you later, alligator.
Bye.
Dink life.